What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the RiOT Comedy Podcast presented by RiOT. Shout out to RiOT Natural Spring Water, keeping us healthy and hydrated over here. We've been on hiatus. My city was on fire. I live in Los Angeles.
Fires.
So we're back now.
I don't know if who knows if our fans even heard about it, you know? There was fires in Los Angeles. They were all over the place.
Fires all around me.
It looked like the ending scene of Lion King whenever Scar and Simba are fighting.
Skies, rain and ash in my neighborhood, so I hightailed.
It was like Pompeii all over again.
It was like Pompeii. I wasn't sticking around to breathe all that in, so I peaced
out.
Hell
no. No way. But we're back, baby.
We're back.
We're back and better than ever.
NBA's rocking and rolling. NFL, we're deep in the playoffs now. Championship weekend coming up.
We'll worry about that. We'll worry about that later, dog. It's all about the NBA. We haven't talked about it for a while. I've been itching. We can talk about that on Friday. I've been itching. Trade deadlines in 2 weeks. A lot of rumors floating around. I don't know how many things are going to happen. My inside sources, which are nobody, tells me that I got a good eye for these things, though. I've always been able to predict things pretty accurately based on rumors floating around and everything. So I want to get into the big news here. I want to get into Jimmy Butler wearing stupid shoes to show the Phoenix Suns colors like it matters, and get into possibly Bradley Beal to Milwaukee, which I don't love. But I want to get your take on it. Jimmy, rumor mill, Jimmy Butler goes to Phoenix, Bradley Beal goes to Milwaukee. The Heat just get scraps for Jimmy Butler, which is all you're going to get for him at this point. I mean, if the Heat can get 3 first-round picks for Jimmy Butler, I don't care what players they get for him. That's a win. So, but what do you think? I mean, obviously, I don't think any of it makes sense, but we're going to start with Phoenix getting Jimmy Butler. What do you think of Phoenix getting Jimmy Butler?
I'm with you 100% when you say I don't think any of it makes any sense. I don't know if there's a scenario where Jimmy Butler gets traded to a team that's a contender. Like, I don't think adding him to Phoenix does anything. Him in Milwaukee, we talked about it on the last podcast. I think that would be a really dope scenario. However, Milwaukee getting rid of Chris Middleton and adding Bradley Beal, they're basically the same guy when they're in the third option. Like, Bradley Beal's a better one for your team probably, but like as the third option, I don't know if that makes any sense to do that. I don't know.
At least Chris Middleton's tall. Like, at least he's tall.
True.
That's how I feel. I mean, honestly, it just doesn't make sense because him and Dame are both old and short. Like, you'd think if you're Milwaukee, that trying to add, like, Zach LaVine makes more sense. Or even adding, like, a couple 3-and-D guys makes more sense. I mean, I think there's a lot of moves out there that make more sense. I think Zach LaVine makes more sense to get some athleticism next to Giannis running the fast break. Definitely a better defender.
Milwaukee would be awesome.
Definitely a better defender than Bradley Beal because everybody is.
Yeah. Give me that every time.
So, and if you're Phoenix, there's no way Jimmy Butler helps solve your playmaking problems of people passing the ball. There's no way that helps. There's no way any of these things are going to actually accumulate to anything. I don't like any of it. I don't like any of it for anybody other than, like, I get to talk about it and see it happen. That's all I like about it.
Yeah, Jimmy to Phoenix just gives you another ball-dominant star on a top-heavy team.
Correct.
So I don't know what Phoenix is like. But I don't know. They got
they're lost.
They need a lot of people over there. They are lost. They're lost, and Jimmy Butler ain't the answer.
No.
And if you're Jimmy, I don't even know why you want to go to Phoenix. Like, why is that so high on your destination list? Like, you ain't gonna go there and win.
No, you're not. Not even close. Like, I can think of so many teams that he could go to that are better off than the Suns. Like, and I don't even include the Warriors in those, but like, the Lakers are better if you have Jimmy Butler than the Suns having Jimmy Butler. The Rockets, the Spurs even, and they're not even very good. Like, as far as like increasing your likelihood of making it deeper in the playoffs, like the Mavericks are better. The Orlando Magic, almost everybody. Like, that's the thing. Like the Grizzlies makes so much sense. The Grizzlies makes more sense than almost every team.
The Grizzlies. I would love that. Like, Jimmy on the Grizzlies or the Rockets would be a super fire pickup for either one of those teams.
I think Jimmy. I don't feel this way about Jimmy on the Rockets, but I feel like Jimmy on the Grizzlies makes them a title contender. I truly believe that.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I don't think Jimmy on the Rockets makes them a title contender. I do think it puts them in a position for a deep playoff run and to
Right.
make some noise and ruffle some feathers. But yeah, I don't see them making it out of the West with
Well,
Jimmy.
the reason
But
I
the
like him
Grizzlies
on the
could.
Grizzlies,
Grizzlies absolutely could.
that's the thing, and I feel confident that almost no matter what playoff series Ja Morant's in, he's the best player on the court.
Yeah.
There's like, honestly, at this point, like when I watch Ja play, maybe 2-3 guys that you can say for certainty, like they're better than him for certainty.
Yeah.
Like 2-3 guys, maybe like Joker,
Baller. He's crazy.
Giannis, Luka. You could maybe say Shea, and you could probably say Shea, even though like I've only seen Ja Morant go to the playoffs like Shea and like play well. Like I don't know who I would take over those two guys, but like I think Ja's a top 5 player in the NBA consistently when he's on the court. The way that his team wins, rallies around him, all those things are important. That's why I want to see Jimmy in Memphis so bad. And also kind of balance the West out a little bit. We're not looking at the Western Conference saying, right now at least, because like the Mavericks are good. They got a lot of injuries. Derek Lively's hurt now, but we're not looking at the West right now saying, damn, I want to see OKC play this team. We don't have any of that.
Right.
Like right now in the East, at least we have Knicks, Cavs, Celtics. I'll watch any of those teams play each other. Any of them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In the West, we're just kind of like, who's going to play OKC? Dallas will probably give them a fit. Maybe Denver. But there's nothing that's like, man, I have to watch this.
No,
whereas like
that's
East,
how I feel too, man.
Teams, like those 3 teams in the East play each other. Any 2 out of the 3, and you're like, that's a must-watch series.
Absolutely.
Every
So
game, I gotta watch every game. I can't miss it because that series is gonna go down.
And that's the thing, man. So I mean, I think we're both on the same page. Kind of like Jimmy Butler needs to go somewhere else, and it's a shame too because he's like, well, I'm not playing in Memphis. I'm not playing here. I'm not playing here. And I don't want to. And I don't like. I'm not here to knock Jimmy Butler. Do what makes you happy at the end of the day. I don't want to say you're being a diva. I'm not going to say that about Jimmy Butler. He's given Miami his all. They never added another superstar next to him after they made the finals twice. Like, I get the frustration. I'm not going to knock you, Jimmy. The only thing I do want to say about you that could be considered a knock is, like, just open your horizons a little bit if you actually want to win a championship. But if it's also just about, like, you want to be happy, live where you want, and play with who you want because you and KD are boys or you and Book are boys or whatever, like, that's cool, man. I ain't mad at it. But I don't want to hear the narrative it's because I want to go there and win a championship. Like, that's not going to happen.
I heard that shit. I heard that.
And Bradley Beal, like, Milwaukee, do not take his contract. I'm telling you right now, you'll regret it. It'll be a bad contract to have with his and Dame's on the books at the same time. Try to do a little something else, man. But, yeah, that's kind of what I would say there. And it looks like now we have they're saying that we have mildly disgruntled Anthony Davis and LeBron James because they're worried that the Lakers aren't going to go all in and try to add a serious piece. And to that I say, well, they haven't for the last 6 or 7 years.
Right. Like, no shit. Duh.
Same shit, different story with the Los Angeles Lakers, dude. They're looking for names, not for talent. You know, I'm supposed to be excited that Jared Vanderbilt's back. I'm supposed to be excited about Austin Reeves and Dalton Connect, which I like all these players. I ain't knocking none of these cats, but like at the end of the day, LeBron's too old to carry good role players to championships. It's never going to happen.
Absolutely.
So,
well, also,
I mean,
they should just know that, like, I mean, we're in 2025 now. They won the title in 2020, and in the last 5 years, they ain't done nothing to improve the team. Not one move has improved the team. They won a championship, blew it up. Which is, I get why you blew it up. Some of the dudes on the squad were old and yada yada, but you never tried. You had like a real team that beat the brakes off of everybody that year, like bubble or no bubble. They was busting everybody's ass, and and then you blew it up. You never tried to build a real team again. You never tried to replicate that same formula, and you ain't made not one move that made your team better.
So any franchise that makes it all about them or don't want to take the spotlight off of themselves, those are bad organizations. The Lakers are that exact organization. Like, the fact that they didn't hire Tyronn Lue is insane. Nobody would look at the rosters of the Lakers and Clippers and be like, I bet you the Clippers look better, play better, and are better than the Lakers this year. Nobody would say that.
Absolutely.
Kawhi just got back.
I get why they... The only reason they didn't hire Tyronn Lue is because they didn't want to deal with the circus of, oh, well, LeBron's bringing everybody and yada yada. But the thing is, like,
you're already a circus.
So you're already a circus, and also, like, let's be real. LeBron has played for how many coaches in his career? Probably somewhere between 8 and 10 coaches, And Tyronn Lue was the best coach he ever had by far. No other coach ever got that much out of LeBron. Like, he was the best coach for LeBron. It wasn't even close. Like, no one else can even be in the
Here's my
argument for
biggest thing:
best coach for LeBron.
is if people have a problem with it, then ask them the question: where else should we go get a championship coach? Where else?
Right. Right.
Where else should we go get a championship coach? Where else should we go get a coach that overperformed in an NBA Finals and won it?
Facts.
I'll wait.
Facts.
You don't like. So that's my thing. Is like it'd be different if it was like, oh, LeBron and Tyronn Lue are boys and they won 30 games a season together. Then it's like, okay, this is fucking stupid. But when you have the chance, what do you say?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, when you have the chance to hire a championship coach who overperforms consistently, you go get that coach every single time.
3 years ago, this dude took the Clippers to the Western Conference Finals without Kawhi.
I know.
He coached the Clippers to the best season they ever had in their 50 years of existence.
Without their best player.
Without their best player. That's what Tyronn Lue did with that squad.
It's very frustrating. It is very, very frustrating. But enough about the Lakers.
He's one of the best coaches in the league.
I'm upset. I can't even talk about the Lakers ruining the rest of LeBron's last 7 years of his career. Can't even talk about it. So I guess the question I would have for you is, we have a lot of things going on in the Eastern Conference. We have good teams in the East. We really do. But the Western Conference is lacking. What team needs to go make a move to get better? And then maybe we can kind of discuss what that move would look like and how to kind of structure that out. But, like, who are you looking at? Is it Denver? Is it Minnesota? Is it Memphis? Like, who's that one piece away from where we look at them and say, okay, now OKC has to fucking buckle down and actually go play basketball?
I think all three of those teams you just mentioned are in a really good position. But I think, as of right now, the best out of those three teams with no move being made is obviously Denver. Especially if Jamal Murray is going to be healthy. A lot of it depends on that, which isn't something you really want to bank on. But Denver is like a piece away from busting everybody's ass again and really like just wrecking fools. What that piece is, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe they just need a really good bench player. Maybe they just need like a rim rolling big who can run the floor. That would, like, do a lot for them. But I don't know exactly what that piece is. But I really think they just, if Jamal Murray is healthy, I really think they just need like a really, really good bench player, a really good 3-and-D bench player. Like if you had someone of the caliber of like Iggy on the Warriors, if you had a dude like that on your bench, watch out, rest of the West, because y'all are in trouble.
Right. Right. And I mean, Dallas is an interesting team because, like, do I feel like maybe they're one piece away? Maybe, but should they trade anybody on their team? No. I don't like. I think it's hard to justify trading Gafford, who's overperforming a low contract. I think it's hard to justify trading PJ Washington. I think that they're fine. I think if they're 100% healthy, I think that they're fine. The team that I look at that needs to make a move is the team we were just talking about a little bit ago. I really like Memphis. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. has gotten a lot better. I think John Morant's always getting better. I like Zach Edey eating up the paint. I like Marcus Smart coming off the bench. These are all things that I like. And I like Desmond Bane's trade value. I like his trade value. I like his contract size. And I think that cat has a lot of room to get better. But if you're Memphis, how much better can he get in your system based on the players that you have? And his contract's pretty large, so you could probably bring in somebody like a Jimmy Butler. But I think that they're the team that I'm looking at saying, well, why don't you go try to get Cameron Johnson? Why don't you go try to get Jimmy Butler? Why don't you go try to – I don't like Zach LaVine for them because I don't think he fits in that gritty Memphis system very well. I think that's something that would kind of throw him out of his rhythm. But I look at those guys, and I look at Memphis, and I say, damn, you guys really are one piece away from competing for it all. And bringing up Cameron Johnson, by the way, so there's been a lot of rumors floating around that the Cavs want him as bad as you can want him. They want him at the small forward since they've been kind of missing a small forward position. If the Cavs get Cam Johnson, are they now the favorites in the Eastern Conference? Because I know they have only 6 losses. I know they're 5 games above the Celtics. But anybody who's taking the Cavs over the Celtics in a playoff series is saying it just to say it, in my opinion. You don't actually believe that. So if they get Cam Johnson from the Nets, are they now the favorites in the East?
I think they are, but it's one of those things. I still wouldn't be surprised if the Celtics found a way to pull it off and beat them.
Well, I think what would be interesting in that matchup if they have Cam Johnson is like that's going to be one of few matchups where you watch in the NBA playoffs where like it really is going to come down to coaching, and you don't get to see that very often.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the time, it's a team. Like even like we see it happen a lot where teams get out coached but still win because they have more talent. Like we see it happen all the time.
Right.
So I think that that's one of few instances where we would look at it and say, "Oh my God, who's going to out coach who?" Because what's interesting is like the Cavs have a new coach this year, and Kenny Atkinson, I believe, is their coach, white dude who used to coach the Nets and got fired for no reason, even though he took them to the playoffs with no All-Stars, and he got fucking fired for Steve Nash. Neither here nor there. Nets being a bad organization. Anywho, but yeah, I think that would come down to coaching, and I think that Joe Mazzulla's proven to be a good coach, and I think Kenny Atkinson's proven to be a good coach. I know no knock to JB Bickerstaff, but the Cavs look better than they did last year, and it's not just because they have another year together; it's because they are being coached better.
Absolutely.
But I like Cam Johnson there. I think that it does make them contenders in the East as far as like, yes, I think that they're right there with the Celtics and can beat them.
Absolutely. They're right there with them for sure.
I agree. And with that being said, are we sleeping on the Knicks at all? Because if they play the Cavs or if they play the Celtics, they're going to have the best big.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cat looks good this year.
Yeah.
We know these guys can play 40 minutes a night in the playoffs,
Awesome
45 minutes.
Knicks, man. Awesome pickup for the Knicks. Like that team is completely different with Cat on the squad. Like now you got a certified big man bucket getter, and it was like that was the missing piece for them.
Absolutely. Because the whole time
it's funny because whenever you mentioned like teams in the West who were like maybe a piece away, when you said Minnesota, I'm like, if these fools are one piece away, they're a huge piece away. They're a 27 point per game guy away. They're a whole freaking Karl Towns away from being good. And not even like a trade.
That.
Like you have to just pick them up and drop them on your team. You can't lose any assets. Like that's where you are right now.
Well, I think it's time for them. Well, this is what I would do if I was Minnesota. And people can tell me I'm dumb. I don't care. I don't care what people say. Don't matter to me. But like, you gotta do something that nobody else is doing, and that is you're gonna have to go out and be more athletic than everybody. That's the only best chance that you have because you have Ant, because you have Alexander, because you have some of these McDaniels, because you have some of these guys out there that are young and athletic. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to go get a Zach LaVine and send Rudy Gobert's bitch ass to the bench. Like
absolutely, having a team full of athletes in the NBA can be
really good.
Well for you.
Can be really good, but like you said, I threw in Minnesota in there just to give Anthony Edwards the benefit of the doubt, but I think that they're, like you said, I think that they're like legitimately a Paolo Banchero away from competing.
Absolutely.
Which is like, who isn't? You know? Like at the end of the day, like what?
Right. Facts.
You know, what Bridge playoff team isn't?
Drop another superstar on their team and they're like a contender.
Who isn't a budding superstar away from competing? So
right.
that would be interesting, but yeah, man,
you know how the Lakers would be if they dropped a player as good as Paolo or Cat on their team?
Well, I thought that too, because if like you're the Lakers, right, and you knew Cat was available, what do you want?
Yeah,
what do you want from us?
Facts.
You want all of our draft picks? You want Austin Reeves? You want? I mean, that's the thing is like, Austin Reeves is better than Dante DiVincenzo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, however, the Lakers
team with AD and Cat down low,
but
and also Cat is a great shooter.
The Lakers have nobody better than Julius Randle to trade. But
Facts.
That is a player that teams need to consider trying to go get is Julius Randle. That is a player that is a misfit. Minnesota knows they're not competing for a championship. Julius Randle's on an expiring contract, and I don't think Minnesota's really wanting to pair him up with Anthony Edwards next year on this expiring contract. I think they wanted to see how it went, and I think we all know how it's going. And that's just okay. Like, it'd be different if you didn't have Rudy Gobert's money on your books. You're like, yeah, we'll give Julius Randle close to a max. That way we're not on the second tax apron. He's a good all-star caliber player, and then we can add somebody. But with Rudy Gobert being on the team, he cash straps you so much there's nothing you can do. Right? So
do you think there's a team who could pick up Randle and that maybe be, I don't know about the missing piece, but a piece to help really elevate it? Maybe it's Memphis, maybe it's somebody else.
Miami. Without losing Butler.
Right, of course.
But then again, I can't remember his name right now. I think his last name is Ware. So the Heat have this rookie right now that they've started to play with, Bam Adebayo. Pretty tall dude, like 6'10", super athlete. Last 5 games been getting like 19 and 10. Been watching this young cat play. I'm really impressed. So maybe Julius Randle doesn't fit there. But like, I don't like him in Memphis. I like Zach Edey and Jaren Jackson Jr. holding down the paint. If I had to say a team that I think Julius Randle would be a good fit for, unfortunately, Julius Randle doesn't want to do this. But if a team could find a way to get him and he's their bench player, playing 30 minutes a night off the bench, I would like that. I think it's hard to say, right? Because I think Julius Randle does make sense in Denver, getting set up by Joker. And I don't think it's a bad thing to have Aaron Gordon move to the small forward or have Julius Randle play the small forward position. Like, you're going to lose some shooting without Michael Porter Jr., but what you gain in, like, toughness and, you know, being able to fill a strong roster and everything, I think makes a little bit of sense. But I don't know if it makes a ton of sense. Julius Randle's a hard player to fit in places where it's like, okay, you're so much better now because you have Julius Randle. I think a player that does fit a lot of places that doesn't get the respect for fitting as a 3 option is Brandon Ingram. I think Brandon Ingram fits incredibly well in Denver. I think he fits incredibly well in Memphis. I think he fits in.
We talked about him going to Memphis for like quite a few times. Like, I would love to see BI in Memphis, man.
Especially since BI is not going to walk in there thinking he's the man, like Jimmy might.
Right.
BI says, if you pay me money and the check's clear, I'm playing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to play. I'm going to play. Like, am I going to give it my all? Maybe not. But at least he's your 3rd option.
Yeah.
And everything's fine. When you're the 3 option, nothing matters as much. Nothing's as big of a deal.
Now, look at God, who's the perfect example? Whenever so before Philly did their revamp, but Tobias Harris, this dude was on a super crazy contract, but he was the 3rd option on his team, but this dude was making crazy money.
And that's the thing with Brandon Ingram is he's in a contract year, and if you trade him to a team that could possibly be a contender, he gonna go out there and try.
Absolutely.
This motherfucker gonna go out there and try because nothing gets you paid like winning in the playoffs. There ain't enough 30-point games out there. Nothing like that. If you get 18 points a game and you go to a conference finals or the finals, then you're a free agent. You get paid like a guy who was scoring 25 on a dick sucky team.
Someone's got paper for you every time.
That's the thing. So I like BI there, but I think CJ McCollum's another option. The Pelicans suck. Fucking dick. So, like, CJ would be a great option for a lot of teams that need a 2-guard. I think Zion makes a lot of sense on teams. Now, I don't know if you should mortgage your future for him, but if you're a team that legitimately feels like you're one piece away and you feel like – because at this point, I don't know if it is Zion's fault. Don't get me wrong, but there's something wrong with that Pelicans fucking training staff.
Yo,
everybody's hurt all the time. Fucking everybody. So I don't love that. I don't love that training staff down there. I've heard rumblings from people that they're not very good anyways. I mean, for Christ's sakes, for a fucking decade, the guy who owned the Pelicans, I think he still does, also owned the Saints and used the same training staff for both.
Right.
Tell me how football and basketball are similar. So, but I think that team's ripe for the picking. Like, even DeJounte Murray, supposedly, like, if you want him bad enough, you can get it. You can get him. But now Trey Young's not available because they're not even in the play-in right now. They're ahead of the play-in. So Trey's obviously not going to be available whenever, like, you got Trey Young taking a bunch of young bucks to the playoffs right now. Anybody could have had him. We talked about this on the last podcast, so we won't get into it again. But this is just the ineptitude that we keep seeing around the NBA. This is the shit that we talk about. This is the shit that we talk about.
Atlanta Hawks? Why did nobody go get Trey Young when he was available? He was available for 2 years.
Nobody knows.
And no one went.
Nobody knows. So that's the thing. Like, if you were Minnesota, You should have been calling. All those first-round picks that you just got from the Knicks, the Hawks would have taken Rudy Gobert's contract with 2 years left on it and 5 first-round picks for Trey.
Yeah.
They would have taken it because they're rebuilding. They want to suck anyways. They just got the 1 pick. They're hoping we can get another 1 pick and get Cooper Flagg in here. And if Rudy Gobert can contribute to anything, it's tanking. That's one thing that he can contribute to is tanking. So, and if you're Minnesota, could you ask for a better fucking backcourt than Trey and Ant? And then you got Julius Randle filling in the power forward position with your young guys coming off the bench, the law firm playing defense, and you got Dante DiVincenzo. You're better. You're fucking better. And at least you have the best, at least you have the second best backcourt in the league behind Luka and Kyrie. And arguably, you could pass them for the best backcourt. You could. So, especially in like a year, like you could have the best backcourt in the NBA in 6 months to a year. And Julius Randle like coming off your books, or you could sign and trade him. You could do some things here, but instead, you're this team.
That's such a fire backcourt. Like you got a sniper killer in Trey Young, and then you got a freak
like
athlete
26.
Killer. Yeah.
You got five. That's fun. You have 5 to 8 years of straight balling with these dudes.
Absolutely.
They're both Adidas athletes, which, like, it is what it is, but, like, dope. Both Adidas athletes, dog, coming in through, filling everybody's shoes up with Trey shoes and filling it up with fucking Ant shoes. Like, it's fun here. Like, it just makes so much sense. Like, Ant can cover the best point guard, so Trey Young doesn't have to because he actually plays defense and is super athletic. Like, it makes so much sense. But instead, here we are. Like if you're, I mean, we talked about Trey Young so much. I mean, we're blue in the face at this point. But you know, is there a team like? And that's the kind of the thing that's very frustrating. So, but that's what I look at. Like, there's got to be a move to be made for some of these teams in the West to give us some better basketball. And last thing I wanted to talk to you about was this European franchise in the NBA is what they kind of want to do, right? Not European franchise, but an all NBA league in Europe, right? Doesn't that already kind of exist, except the NBA doesn't own it? Like, are you really going to get the best players in Europe to play for this alt league instead of playing for these rich owners in Europe who pay them fat and fucking rep their countries and play hard? Like, I don't know how it's going to work. I was kind of curious what you thought.
The only way it's going to happen is if this league raises a ton of money and can overpay their players. That's the only way it's going to work. Because if you're from France or Lithuania and there's another league, you're playing for your home league.
Correct.
There is not a scenario without exorbitant money. No other country is going to come start a sports league in America that already exists. You ain't going to start an NBA, you ain't going to start a new basketball or a new football or baseball league here and get American athletes to play there. It's just not going to happen unless
you're here's the biggest question.
$100 million contracts versus a $100 million contract. You got to have a lot of money.
Here's the biggest question about that league. Are you guys going to allow 15-year-olds to play in it? These motherfuckers do.
Yo, real shit.
Are you going to make a rule that you can't play in this professional league till you're 18? Because I've been getting money over here for the last 3 years, and I got 1 year left on my deal, then I'll go to the NBA.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to call all these owners of the richest and largest teams over there and say, hey, you guys want to own 50% of this league, and we own the other 50? Same rules. Same young players can be in it. That's your only option, is the NBA can't own it. They're going to have to only own some of it. That's your only option.
Yeah. Well, if they think they're going to go over there and start a league and be successful just because they're the NBA,
they're wrong.
Have the name of NBA, they're wrong. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. Like,
you
better have a really good ass plan and a bunch of money.
You're going to have to take the best players from the best teams and create like 30 teams across all of Europe is what you're going to have to do. But you're going to have to let 15-year-olds play in it. You're going to have to let 16-year-olds play in it like Luka and shit. Otherwise, it'll never work.
But if you can come in and do what the ABA did to the NBA, so the ABA comes in, they start their league, they start getting great players. They got Moses Malone, Dr. J, Connie Hawkins. Like, Moses and the Doctor that's 2 of the 3 best players in the world at the time. The other dude is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's in the NBA. The other 2 best players are in the ABA. So if you can pull off something like that to make some noise and, maybe the goal is to do exactly that and then get bought out by these European leagues and just make money like that in the short term, or take like 8 years.
Yeah, but how much
So
money are you really willing to pay the fucking 700th best player in the world?
right, right.
How fast are you? I mean, we saw these European teams try to lure NBA players over there, and it lasted 2 years because they gave Josh Childress fucking all that money, and then come to find out they couldn't afford to pay him. They don't have it.
These dudes, Americans ain't even skipping college to go play overseas anymore. We've only seen it
No
a couple
way.
times. Like Brandon Jennings did it, LaMelo Ball did it. They both hated it, gave terrible reviews. LaMelo like hated that shit.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting situation. I'm curious what the thought was behind even doing it outside of just like pure greed.
Yep.
If there was like
Yep.
anything beyond that, anything beneficial, anything whatsoever besides just like, oh hey, let's
Right.
try to go steal the European market. It can't be any more than that. Like I don't know what the plan is, but
Agreed.
they better come with something good and a lot of dough if they're gonna do anything at all over there.
Agreed.
And
So we're
the
running.
NBA name is not gonna do it.
No. So we're running a little low on time, so we're going to end it with a positivity. A little bit of positivity. We're not going to talk bad about franchises. We're not going to say anything about Mark Andrews. We're not going to do any of those things. We're going to be positive. So my shout-out's going to go to Lonzo Ball. The mental fortitude that it took for you to be hurt for as long as you were and stay in shape and rehab and come back to the NBA and still be a productive NBA player after that. You didn't come back fat. You didn't come back fucking crying and boo-hooing. You just came back and played basketball. And I wanted to shout out Lonzo for that because it's very, very, very impressive what you did. Because I don't even know if I would have had it in me, dude. And I've beat cancer before, and I don't know if I got 3 years of bullshit rehab in me, dog. So shout out Lonzo. Good for you, man. I put you on the spot. And I keep trying to tell you, every podcast we have to end with positivity. So you need to have something in your fucking mind about what we're doing. So who do you want to shout out? It don't have to be an NBA player. It can be football, soccer. It could be a celebrity. It could be the firefighters of LA if you want to be a fucking cornball. Whatever you want to do, doggy. What do you want to do?
Hey, I'm gonna keep it in the family. I'm gonna give a shout out to LeVar Ball because that man told us if I was LeVar, I'd be running around screaming like you remember how loud he was like 8 years ago. It was like on every TV show saying Lonzo's better than MJ, yada yada. I know he was doing a lot of things for clout, but I'd be running around screaming I told you so because I got two NBA sons. One of them is a bona fide star, and shout out to LiAngelo for making like the first banger of 2025 and taking me back to junior high with that song. But I just want to give a shout out to LeVar because not we all, but like a lot of people were talking shit on him, saying this and that on him. And it turns out, hey man, this dude looks like a good father in my book. He's got 3 super successful sons, and they all love him and speak highly of him and adore him. So what more can you ask for as a father than having your grown
That's all that
kids
matters. That's all that
successful
matters.
and loving you the way they love him?
You're not a
So
father.
everyone who's talking shit on LeVar 8 years ago owes this man an apology.
So you're not a father, right?
Correct.
So, and I am. And if I had a son as successful as any 3 of those kids, the amount of pride that I would have for him, the feeling, I would cry regularly. Like I would legitimately break down and cry regularly every single time I saw one of my sons score a basket. Every single time I saw one of them sign a new contract, I would go to LiAngelo's fucking Rolling Loud or wherever he's performing and be in the front fucking row with fucking my shirt off, fucking titties out.
It would be one thing if his kids were successful, but they didn't like him.
That's what I'm saying.
If they're like, no, I don't fuck with my pops, like whatever. But or even if they just had an okay relationship. But from the outside looking in, like he has a great relationship with his super successful kids. Like that's the ultimate win in life.
At the end of the day, man, like if he turned them all into success and pushed them a little bit hard, they'll understand when they have kids, dog. It's the ultimate conundrum.
No,
Even
for
me
sure.
right now.
But there's a difference between being like pushing your kids to success and Joe Jacksoning them into success, right?
At the end of the day, man, Asians are successful for a reason.
Yeah, sure.
That's a fact. That's a fact. People can knock me if they want. Go check
No,
the
real talk,
scores.
Real talk.
Go check all that shit, dog. Like, it's okay to be hard on your kids, everybody. Like, my wife jumps my ass all the time because I might be a little bit too hard on my son. But every single fucking person that I meet tells me, wow, your son's better. Wow, your son listens better than mine. Wow, your son.
Nah, for sure.
I had somebody compliment me the other day because they said that my son was one of the politest kids they had ever met. Because he says thank you. Says please constantly. And this motherfucker just turned 2, everybody. So I'm telling you that if you tell your kids what's what and you hammer it into them that manners are important and that you're going to say please or you ain't getting shit and you let them throw temper tantrums every once in a while and don't feed into that shit, your kids will learn. I fucking promise everybody.
I think 2 really good examples of like it's perfectly fine to push your kids. Like if like Tiger Woods' dad, good job.
Yes.
Like,
Joe Jackson, bad job.
Joe Jackson, bad job. I know you whooped your kids' asses into fame and success, but you had to you whooped their ass into fame and success.
You literally whooped they motherfucking asses, dog.
There's a difference between pushing your kids and like you can force your kids without whooping their ass and push them to the right thing and make them successful. But yeah, shout out LeVar.
It's funny. Last thing I'll say is I was talking to a parent recently, and they were like, something happened with their kid. And they were telling me about it. They're like, your kid ever do this? I'm like, nah, like. And they were asking me, like, well, what do you say to your kid when he's doing this? And I told them what I said, and they're like, wow, you should never talk to your kid like that. And I'm like, well, that's a perspective that you can have. Because it was something where, like, they were like, what do you say to him whenever he won't listen? And, like, he's running away from you when you want him to do something. I say this, hey, man, bring your fucking ass over here right now and listen. And then as soon as he comes over and listens, I tell him, look, man, you can't do this. Daddy loves you. You're the most important person in the world to him. And I ain't mad at you, and I'll always love you. My kid knows that he is loved unconditionally. When your kids know that they are loved unconditionally no matter what, you can discipline your kids a little bit harder because they know that it's coming from a place of love and that you are there to support them. That is the most important thing. You can't be just hard on your kids, but you also can't just love them motherfuckers either. So some parental advice to everybody out there who don't have kids or anybody that's got some badass motherfucking kids. Heed my advice. This is the RiOT Comedy Podcast. We're going to sign off. We're going to be back on Friday, though, to talk about the NFL playoffs because we didn't get to talk about Mark Andrews today because I wanted to talk about the NBA. I'd love to talk about the Ravens beating themselves. I want to talk about the Bills-Chiefs matchup. And we got to talk about Jaden Daniels. He might be the first rookie to ever start a Super Bowl, and we all want it because nobody wants Chiefs-Eagles. We'll talk about it on Friday, but I wanted the Chiefs.
I want to watch the Chiefs keep playing the Eagles and the 49ers every time they go to the Super Bowl.
I wanted the Chiefs to three-peat, even though I'm a Rams fan and I hate the Chiefs. But we're going to get into why I don't want them to next on Friday. Stay tuned, motherfuckers.
All right, thanks for rocking with us, y'all. Y'all enjoy the rest of your week. We'll get at you soon.
Peace.